Hello guys, me Swedish Joker here, and today I'm here with Sadokist, and it's the last day of the Dreamhack summer event, and he has casted the first semifinal between Immortals and Godsend. Did the match go as you expected, or?
I mean, that was the most unexpected match, to be fair. So to say expected, I don't know what I expected. I think that I guess I would have pegged Godsend going into it just because Immortals have been slow in this tournament. But it's more proof for Godsend that all their big wins have come against domestic teams. You know, people of close nature. Obviously, NIP, they've put up good contests again. They beat them earlier in this tournament to put them in the lower bracket, hence why they're playing Astralis now in the semi, and not what people would have thought would have been the final. And they beat, or they didn't beat, but they put NIP in a very close position at Malmo as well. Other than that, they haven't done well on international soil, and as much as Immortals were slow to build into this tournament, they got better and better as things went on, and today I think they hit their stride where everyone was contributing, and because of that, it was pretty obvious, like, early in the third map that that's how it was going to go.
And I actually heard, I think it was Vendetta, who said that he'd actually preferred to see Epsilon in the semi-final against Godsend. Would you agree on that, or?
I mean, maybe for the storyline, because it would have been interesting to see a very new and young team do quite well. Obviously, Epsilon is a very young team, but I don't know that you can't say that. I can't say that they would deserved it more than any other team. Obviously, Immortals earned it. It was a cool story for Epsilon. They've got a lot of individual skill. I think with some time and some coaching, they're going to be a good team moving forward.
Yeah. And it's actually the first time you're in Jönköping for Dreamhack. So what's your impressions from the event so far?
It's nuts. It's insane. It's not the biggest CS esports competition we've done. Obviously, it's not a major, but this building was a major at Dreamhack Winter. It's got a ton of fans here. Everyone's super passionate about esports. The BYOC sections are massive. There's 3 different halls, absolutely filled with people. There's exhibitors everywhere. People are loving it. People are sleeping here, and there's concerts every night. There's like a fair outside. There's paintball stuff. It's pretty sick. It's pretty awesome.
So has the event come up to your expectations, so to say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was told this was the big one. Like the summer and the winters were the biggest sort of festival of gaming, and not just esports. And I think it is that. I think it's a bit of celebration of gaming. There's so much going on, and it really shows you how passionate a lot of these people are about gaming, and shows you how the community really is pretty large. I mean, this is in Sweden, and it's packed, and this is just one corner of the world. This could happen anywhere. It's incredible.
Yeah. So let's talk about you. You started casting ESEA games. I think it was with Moses, actually, who's also in the big scene now, like you. How was the transition from ESEA games to your first major event in Aspen?
Yeah, I guess you could say first international event. The first big scale event I did would have been the ACA LAN finals themselves. It was a bit rocky, to be honest. There was a lot of doubts. I was taking a risk. X Games they let me do because it was a one-off, and at the time I was exclusive with the ACA, so they had no problem with that. But because it went so well, it was actually when I got the offer from PGL that I had to make the decision between staying in North America with ESEA and funneling into the ESL program, or leaving them altogether and going to Romania to give something new a try. And I always wanted to try and get to Europe. I figured that was better for the exposure and better for my career, so I chose to go to PGL. And I won't say I left ESEA on bad terms, but I think that it was kind of disappointing for them because I kind of grew up with them, and Moses and I were working very well together toward the end of it. We were kind of planning on being a duo, and when I left there, kind of broke apart. But things are good now. Like I say, I didn't leave on bad terms, but there was definitely some. The handshake goodbye, and just a little bit of a disappointment, but overall I think it was the right choice. And since then, obviously we've transitioned into a bigger role, Henry and I, and it's been great.
Yeah. And obviously, as I said, you and Henry has been a duo now for a long time. I don't remember when exactly you first started casting, but how do you see, like, obviously you and Henry are one of the most popular caster duos together with Anders Semler and DDK and Bardolph. How do you see the casting, like the roles? How do you feel?
Like development-wise?
Yeah, I don't know how to put this. When young casters go up.
Right. You see, like the new spread of talent. You mean, like?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, like I say, I think Henry and I developed really well as a duo. We fit roles really well. I'm a play guy. Some very basic analytical stuff. I try not to reach too far because he's got all that for me. So we've complemented each other well, and he's kind of learned some play-by-play, and I've kind of learned some analytical stuff from him. So we kind of mesh and have a good thing going for us. I think it's interesting right now that the top three duos have something very different to offer. Henry and I are more analytical, more classical, where one's play-by-play, one's color. Anders and Semler are more both kind of a play-by-play mind that can do analytical, so they have a good gel. And then GTK and Bardoff are kind of like all over the place. They do a bit of everything, and they're more comical and loose with it. So there's definitely different styles of casters right now for different viewers' tastes, and that's very good. And obviously we're seeing a new duo here. Well, I don't know if we can call them a duo yet, brand them as that, but we're seeing a new partnership here between Launders and Metis that's going very well. Launders has worked well with Helium. Moses has worked well with Metis. There's all kinds of other guys, and there's going to be talent that inevitably this year is going to break through as well. Blue at ESL is doing very good work. So there's space in the scene. It's just it's like I say, it's inevitable. There's so much more going on, and there's so much more need. For example, Anderson Templar can't be here. They're at E-League, and 1 week and it's happened to all of us. We've all had to be in two places at once, and I couldn't be in Austin because I had to be in Korea, and it makes room for other people, which is great. It's good to see more and more people getting opportunity.
Yeah. And actually, you mentioned ESL. Everything with the WESA and the ESA and the ESL have come up to the surface now. What are your thoughts about that from what we know, since we don't know much about them?
Yeah, I've kind of tried to shy away from this topic in a lot of ways because it is controversial, and it's not my position to. I can have my opinions, but it's not my position to really criticize without all the information. I don't think that's fair. What I can say is that I do think that there is a need for some representation for teams and players in the scene. I think whether it's a union or an association or whatever, an agreement, there's something that's needed for sure. But at the same time, I don't know. It seems like there is some shady stuff going on, but at the same time, like ESL's got this reputation. I think there's people that are spreading misinformation. It's all over the place. So on paper, it seems like a great idea. In principle and in practice, it's yet to be determined if it will be. But like I say, I'm reserving a judgment on it until we see how it plays out.
And also the major groups were drawn, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and they actually used the seed system from the last major of Seeded, and that actually caused our kind of controversial group in Group B. Do you think that they should change the seed system to like the HLTV's monthly rank system instead, since it's kind of more accurate and better for the majors?
Well, you say that, but then there's some people that are inside of the top 16 on HLTV that aren't there, so that I guess you could substitute them out for the next highest ranking team. The seeding system has been in place forever with the majors. Semi-finalists 1 to 4, quarterfinalists 4 to 8, and then whoever was knocked out in the decider matches are the next 4, and then whoever went out dead last is the previous 4. Based on qualification, that's kind of how it lines up. Obviously, the subject to change with the qualifiers. It works to an extent, but in this case, due to how turbulent the last major was, and Fnatic going out in a quarter, Luminosity is the champions, they're in one group, G2 coming in as a qualification team that's been doing very well, get thrown in that group. That's a nightmare. That's potentially top 8 teams in one group. And poor G2, I hope they can somehow pull it off. There's going to be heartbreak no matter what. You've got the most winning team of all time in the group. You've got the previous defending champions in the group, and you've got G2, who's been dying to make it through to the playoffs of a major for years. And well, I won't say years, but for a year they've had struggles, and they're finally hitting their stride. I mean, there's heartbreak no matter how you look at it. In this case, maybe there could have been something done a little bit different, where instead of randomly drawing, there's your first 4, maybe seed your 1 to 4, seed your 4 to 8, and then that way you could say Fnatic's clearly number 5. Right, they're not in the top 4, but they're clearly number 5. Luminosity is clearly number 1. They won it. So don't put 1 and 5. Put 1 and 8 together, and 5 and whatever it works out to be, 5 and 4. So it kind of equalizes in that sense. You could do something like that, but it's really hard to change the system to a strict ranking system when it is based on finishes. And I know there's a lot of period in between. That's the harder part. Maybe it could be reviewed. I just think seeding them 1 to 4, 4 to 8, rather than randomly drawing the 1 to 4 and 4 to 8 would work better.
Yeah. And I actually used a new system as well for the major qualifier, where like you got 3 wins, you go through immediately, you got 3 losses, you go out. Do you think that they should keep doing that, or keep the system that they're doing at Dreamhack, for example?
This one I didn't get enough I don't know. It's hard to judge. I'm still not convinced by that new system, but I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to limit the chance of someone getting in with upsets and making sure that the best teams are represented at the major. And in that case, you can't argue that Immortals should be there because they didn't make it.
Yeah.
Clearly, same with Godsent. There's lots of teams that didn't, and a lot of people would have expected to. So. I don't know. The qualification ones are different. I think they did it a couple different ways for a reason as well. Like the Tai Lu situation, when they did the minor in Korea, they did a double elimination all the way through, including the semifinal. Reason for that was visa issues. If a team drops out, they have a guaranteed third place team instead of picking from a hat between the sort of the tie break. I think that's just Valve covering all bases. In this case, did it work? Yeah, I think so. I mean, sorry, Immortals, you've got to show up in those situations. It happened to Dignitas last time in Columbus, and the Tier 2 landscape is so vast and so broad and filled with so many different teams right now that you just have to show up.
Yeah. Alright, that was actually my last question. Thanks so much for your time, man, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.